who is going to be crowned the King of Stockholm, and who is going to win the overall Scandinavian series. It all gets decided here. Final few seconds. Johnny Berntsen at the bottom of the line in flux. Artemis, Essek, Typhoon X, all going back. Flux Racing at the bottom of the line. Johnny Berntsen lit up in flames, coming in on this pin mark. He hasn't had the best of regattas here, but he's leading this double point race around the top. Valim Racing, he's hooked the mark a little bit on the inside, but it's just rolling off the bottom rack. Valim Racing looking to come over the top, possibly looking, or certainly threatening the roll. GAC Pindar right at the back. Down into the bottom. Right in here, past the TV studio. Valim on the inside, Flux just outside of him. Volveraz, new team here. John Beck through the jibe. You see the two marks, the bottom gate. And Valim leading the race down. Flux Racing picking up a bit of pressure on that outside, bringing their bow down around that right-hand mark as we look downwind. Valim rounding the left. Game on, almost simultaneous rounding for these two. Back here in the pack. Typhoon X on the inside. GAC just in front of them, going through their jibe, as is Essek Racing, Dak Hammer. Artemis Racing, KSSS, Artemis Youth Project coming in from that far side with good speed. Essek Racing looking to roll across the top of Typhoon X. Can those boats get down onto and through the gate? Essek Racing just getting inside, and both of them have, well, feigned the roll on Ian Williams, and GAC Pindar was forced around the opposite mark. So back up at the front. Valim Racing continuing to lead. Berntsen there on the far shore, both boats coming back together. You can see that Jenica starting to break. They need to get that furled away, really. But it is lighter pressure as they track across. Both boats kind of bow to bow. I think Valim just across at the moment, but Berntsen and Flux have a quite good shift. Looks like a little left shift. Valim has the right of way. He's on starboard, and Berntsen just bringing his bow underneath and a little turn up. Very close nip and tuck duck there by Team Flux. And Valim now up and through the top tack. Slow tack for Hans Valim. Back going again now. But I wonder if that down pressure has cost him. Typhoon X coming back for three on the inside, making a bit of a comeback on this inside. We've seen it lighter on the left before, and it's come good for him. Nikolai Sersted having to go for the duck. And there, just across, John Beck. Really finding his feet on this final day here in Stockholm. In at the top, Flux Racing, going for the duck on Hans Valim, who He's actually just going to duck underneath. Now, can he get in on the mark? If he can, it'll be Johnny Berntsen that rounds the next mark in front. He's bringing the bow up, going for a bit of a luff. Trying to close down the gauge. Yes, I think he's going to get around. Look at that, Johnny Berntsen. We have a lead change at the top. Team Flux around. Hans Valim right on the stern. Lead changes again onto the downwind. Flux versus Valim. Staying at the top. Volvorus there with Tree 4 just above them. Typhoon X just tacking in a leeward position. And around they go. Volvorus just extending away to that left-hand side. And there the battle between Valim and Flux team. See Berntsen on board, Flux team sailing a little hotter. Try and get back across towards Valim. Was ahead at the top mark, but only by a length or two. It's going to be close between these skippers, down to the bottom mark. Has to get in outside those red marks, and then turning down. It's getting really light for both these teams. Valim coming right in near to shore. Pitcher's not really doing the speeds on these boats justice and really whizzing through. Now this angle that Valim's on, having jibed right here on the inside, he should be able to lay down to the red marks. Different groove these guys are sailing. You can see there Valim sailing with the Traveller right down, the mainsail quite a long way out, whereas Berntsen sailing with the main quite a long way in and the Traveller right up. Definite setup change there. Berntsen picking up a big gust. Can he use that to ride it down to the mark? I think he can. Look at that. So round the bottom mark into first place, holding on to his lead with that gust. Flux Racing, Johnny Berntsen. Next round, Valim and Valim Racing. Tray 4, Sersted coming back with a good comeback on this run up into third place. Leading off to this, to my mind, favoured side of the racetrack. GAC Pindar through the jibe. Coming back bow together with Essex Racing. I think a little bit of an exchange with these guys in the pre-start that perhaps led to them both being a little further back. Williams is electing to jibe away. It's a long way sailing back to the other mark. So advantage that camera in that exchange. So back up the racetrack. Team Trifor picking up a big puff on the right. We were talking about the wind coming from this side. And he's across Hans Valim and Berntsen. And he's back up into first place. Look at that, Sersted finding form on this inside. And to my eye, Berntsen and Valim just taking their eye off the ball a little bit. Have been some big holes in that bottom left side of the race course. Sersted not going to let the guys have that favoured side, tacking back to cover in from about the middle of the course. Valim looking for the furl away as he comes up and into his tack. Berntsen should cross, and I expect we'll see him tack on top. Berntsen actually electing to carry on, looking to perhaps get to ley line. There's Berntsen continuing to sail in. The Jenneker's still out, right on the cusp of whether he want that. We can see there Seerstedt easily crossing the line of Valim. But there's our new leader, Seerstedt. The team from Denmark doing battle here in Sweden. Crossing to the right. Now getting ready for their turn up. Flux through their tack. Jenneker out, and Trefor electing not to unfurl. They are now pretty much up to speed, so good decision by Seerstedt as the boats come in at the top. Absolutely packed stadia of people here along the shores of Stockholm. It crossed my mind earlier, we're perhaps looking at the precursor to what could be a new Marstrand here in Sweden. This event going from strength to strength. And this last race all going Seerstedt's way. Great comeback on the last run. Now out in front. So just the dash to the finish now. Seerstedt leading Berntsen from Valim. Berntsen through the jibe. Possibility to attack Seerstedt as he comes in here. Much lighter now on both boats. Seerstedt up to speed in the lure position, but Flux starting to roll. Flying that windward hull, bringing their bow down. Can he get across the front of Seerstedt? Back to very even between these boats. Seerstedt now starting to move. It's a two-boat race as we come down towards the finish line. On the left, Nikolaj Seerstedt, Trefor on the right. Flux team, but from nowhere, Valim coming in and across. Hans Valim coming out of the right-hand side. We've seen it time and again, just across the line. And Nikolaj Seerstedt coming down to the finish. It's all three of these boats have a chance of winning. Seerstedt coming down. Looks like he's got the acceleration. He has the speed. Team Trifork in a third lead change of almost so many seconds down to claim this final match. And now nip and tuck between Berntsen and Valim coming up to the finish line. Who's it going to be? Almost photo finish between those two. We'll wait for clarification from the race committee.